Well, good morning. This is Saturday, January the 9th, 2021, and my neighbor Mike is recording this session for me. Retired Admiral Earl Gay requested that I give this talk, and I am glad to do it. My name is Sam Romano. I live in Vestavia Hills, just south of Birmingham, Alabama. For the past 7 or 8 months or so, I have endeavored to garner support from the President and also U.S. Senators and Congressmen and others to establish a national holiday or some kind of special event to be celebrated once a year throughout our great nation. We want to honor the World War II so-called Greatest Generation. So the question may arise, first, why should we honor the greatest generation that won World War II and preserved our freedom and way of life? And second, why should we inform and educate younger generations about the greatest generation? I think the short answer to both of those questions is because if the greatest generation had lost World War II, our country would have ceased to exist. We would have been occupied by foreign military troops from Germany and Japan, the two countries that the United States and our allies were fighting in World War II. At best, we would have been citizens with absolutely no rights at all, and at worst, we might have been slaves. Adolf Hitler, Germany's leader at the time, declared that he would create a master race that would rule the world for 1,000 years. All U.S. citizens should know and understand this and appreciate what the greatest generation did for us all, and also understand the terrible price this generation paid for victory. They lost an estimated 403,000 men killed, plus thousands wounded. So, exactly who were the so-called World War II era greatest generation? First of all, they were our military, the Army Air Force, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and others. It should be noted that back in World War II, the Air Force was part of the Army. The Air Force, as we know it today, was not formed until 1947. Second, the greatest generation was the factory workers making tanks, guns, and ships, and so forth, needed to win the war. And third, the greatest generation was a plain old American citizen like my parents that bought war bonds, providing funds to fight the war. My parents also did, as our government requested, that all citizens plant victory gardens in their backyard, collect old pots and pans to be melted down to make airplanes, and collect old worn-out tires to be melted down to make tires for military vehicles. Citizens also carried out what we called enemy air raid exercises, sponsored by the government. As an 11 and 12-year-old kid, I would assist the block warden in these exercises. If lights were showing in a house window, he would send me up to the house to knock on the door and ask the occupants to please pull their window shades down or turn off the lights. The idea was that if enemy planes from offshore aircraft carriers did not see lights, then they would have a harder time finding their targets. I was so proud to be helping in the war effort as an 11 or 12-year-old kid. In the beginning of World War II, the United States did not have adequate naval powers to protect our nation's coastlines, and there was real concern that some of our cities might be bombed. Unfortunately, I don't think many of our K through 12 schools or colleges teach much about World War II. This is a shame because World War II is an important part of our nation's history that young and old should know about, along with the greatest generation that was part of World War II. This is the end of my presentation, and I thank you for the opportunity of giving it.